Hello, on this episode of the Inventive Marketing Club, we're going to be looking at landing pages. What makes a landing page great? We're going to look at the ones we like and the ones we don't, and share some ideas that you can use to help create landing pages that convert more visitors into customers. Let's dive right in. And as usual on our Focus On sessions, Claire is joining me. Claire's picked out a wider range here. We've actually got quite a few, so we're going to run through them pretty quickly. There's also a few comparisons as well. Now, this first one you brought up for us, Claire, cruise.com. What do you make of this one?
I hate it. It's
Lovely.
incredibly busy. I can't read the stuff fast enough before it flips through. And it's just very loud and proud. It's got the text is too small to read. I just can't concentrate on anything. How are you finding it, Ben?
So it's got one of the things I don't love, not my favorites, which is the slider. Actually had to put a slider on for a client recently, and actually that one worked okay. There wasn't too much content on there. So just like you're saying, this moves pretty quickly and you're not given much chance to read it. Obviously, you usually can hover over and it pauses the slider. Let's see if it does that. Looks like it is. That's usually the case, but you've got to know that that happens. Whereas I think for some people, it just creates this feeling of energy and movement and especially that little timer above where you get this onboard credit. And I know that is a way of motivating and moving people forward, but also it puts panic upon you. And I think that is not a way that you should be buying anything.
Yeah.
Really, it might be once you've settled on something, then you do want people to commit, and actually having a deadline can help. But I think panic for holidays is something that a lot of these websites use, and it's not very comfortable. It's always actually, for me, not a very nice task to have to do to buy a holiday. So this isn't putting me at ease. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely. It's building anxiety because there's a movement. You
yeah.
can't get all the information, and yes, you've got this countdown um, that you're kind of working with.
We know that that countdown is going to keep changing and rolling forward. They're going to have a new countdown in a week's time and so on. I just want to point out the amount of colors going on here as well, that's sort of vying for attention. You've got the sort of blue and the orange, which meant to sort of classically work well together, sort of a trusted color. Then you've got all of these other colors sort of punching out of it. You've got this like manage my booking in a sort of highlighter yellow color. You've got this green down here. It's not only busy physically, there's a lot moving going on, but just color wise, there's no space for your eyes to rest. Yeah, not a fun site. It actually looks quite old. It's got an old
But
feeling about it.
something that I've noticed though is a lot of holiday sites have a similar sort of feel and style, so it must be working within that industry, which otherwise they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's either that or it's just that everyone's doing exactly the same thing, and so there's no one who's an outlier. But let's move to an outlier, sort of a website that has been slightly different. That's Airbnb. So this is selling a different thing. It's not cruises, obviously. It's pretty much anything else to do holiday related or experiences. Actually, I did an experience over COVID when they had to pivot and do something different, and it was coffee tasting. And you think, well, how can you do that? It was all online over Zoom. It's actually my brother bought it for me. He was going to do it with me, and it was quite fun. So the guy got you a load of things to taste. He said, like, get some lemon, get some sugar, get all these bits, as well as the coffee, and then you try all these different flavors, and he's talking about how they should feel on your tongue and that sort of thing. So when you then do drink your coffee that you've got, you can then pick up some of those notes. I thought that's very interesting. Anyway, that's by the by. So coming back to Airbnb. So quite a different site here, isn't it? I mean, you've got this lots of lovely visuals, consistent style here, so we can actually see these different places. And what I like about it is this very simple box where you can pick where you want to go. So let's put some holiday in here. Very flexible dates coming up next week. Let's go until then. Let's get the kids in there as well. In fact, they're not kids anymore. They're going to be 4 adults. So I really like that. I love once you've actually I can't find it now. That's interesting. I like the way you could browse either like this or you can browse on a map. So you've got different ways. If you know roughly where you want to go and you want to find things like that, you can do it that way. Maybe because I'm flexible. Yeah, and I think as a landing page, it's quite easy then to jump in. So it's quite fast, quite easy to jump in. I actually like the interface of Airbnb. I just don't like the cost of everything sometimes, but I really like the interface. What about you?
It's a lot calmer. I must admit, I do quite like the icons as it sort of helps bring focus. Uh, and it's a great way of sort of filtering the content. Yeah, and as you sort of click through, you're sort of getting the right amount of information as it sort of steps you through that decision making process. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think so.
definitely better than the cruises.
Yeah, so it just shows that, Airbnb is very successful. It's come a long way from when it started. It just shows there
Mm.
is another way of doing it. Okay, moving on to the next one. You brought up the LinkedIn sort of premium page. So this isn't the landing page for LinkedIn itself. It's just the sort of premium upgrade. Now, I guess essentially there's nothing really wrong with this page. It's just, I feel it's meh, basically is the way I describe it. The colors are very muted. There's no striking text that stands out. In fact, some of the text that there is quite hard to read. The line height's very tight, I think. There's a lot of these. There's a lot of visuals going on here, but nothing is grabbing. There's for me nothing that stands out and says this is why you need to have it. And maybe that's the fault of the premium service itself because I don't use it. So there's nothing really that grabs me. Perhaps maybe it works for other people. Um, and obviously it goes to see these. If we move further down, we do have some benefits, but to be honest, I find it hard to read the text. I don't know why. It just doesn't jump at me. These grab so much attention that this text here just blurs for me. Now that might fall down to the way I look at this website. I'm very visual, so I don't always read things, but I think maybe this text needs to stand out a bit more and grab attention.
Yeah, I think there's too much text. I think it could be sort of honed back down, and it goes back to kind of being memorable and making remarkable content, what you've sort of brought up in the past. So, like you say, it is very plain in a way,
Mm.
and text gets lost within it.
It does. And what do you think you might know what they're offering, but does it say what they're offering? You've got this like new AI powered premium experience. Well, but what is that? Okay, they have to mention AI. They have to, everyone has to. But what is that giving me? They talk about the free month, you can save money, blah blah blah. Okay, but why should I click this button, try free, this AI powered experience? Maybe this is for I don't think I'm signed in on here, so it shouldn't be looking at whether I've used premium before or not. This should be the homepage for new users. So okay, enhance my profile. Okay, this is starting to help a little bit more, but maybe this text should be here because that's what they're selling. So it's really lacking on the benefits, I think. Okay, moving on. You've got a good one here. You pulled up Uber,
Yes,
and
I think.
I like the style of this.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think they really sort of hit the nail on the head with this one. It's very sort of calm, it's clear. They're driving you through the benefits of using their service. It's beautifully laid out, I think. And it goes back to sort of say that less is more.
It does. And this just above the fold. So before we scroll, I really like this. You've got actually a very nice illustration. I think sometimes the style of illustration, it rubs me the wrong way. There's just a style I don't like that I find a lot of companies use. This looks really nice. It looks sort of a realistic illustrative style. Everything looks quite nice and crisp. I love the strapline here. Go anywhere with Uber. I think a lot of people do know what Uber is and what it does, so they don't need to restate that on here. But um, they're sort of saying it in a quite a fun statement. You can go anywhere with Uber, and actually, you can probably get anything with Uber as well. So I like this. For very simply, you can just jump in and put in where you want to go to, and get some prices on that. But really, it's an app-based system. I love this as well. It just goes to show if we compare it back to LinkedIn, looking at the text differences here in the image, how much clearer this is. We've kind of got on, as we scroll through on one page, we've got one image, we've got one bit of text that is big. You can clearly read that. And then if you want, there's a little additional bit of justification underneath. Yeah, I love it. I love the style of it. I love the simplicity of it. It's nice. It's a combination between black and white as well. Brilliant. Another brand that we all know, Spotify. I was actually quite surprised with this. To be honest, I haven't been to Spotify for years. I used to use Spotify sort of when they started with music streaming. They were new at doing that. I haven't looked at, I'm with Apple Music now. I'm signing up with Spotify at all. So I haven't been to their homepage to see what it's like to sign up. And this is it. This is not logged in. This is going to spotify.com. This is what you see. And okay, it looks like I'm in the app. I'm now worried that I'm kind of in the app and I'm like, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing in here. Now, maybe I just click around an artist that I know, like Taylor Swift or Rihanna there. But I don't know. I feel this should be more of a landing page, a bit more like Uber. Maybe that's me overthinking it as a web developer. Maybe this is a better interface for people who are new to it. But I'm kind of like, where do I sign up to this? You know, there is a button to sign up, but it's low lit over here. Otherwise, I guess I can just go in and play. Let's see what happens. Oh, now I need to sign up. Okay, so they're drawing me in with that. I don't know. For me, I was a little bit confused by this. What's your take on it?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's a lot of confidence in the brand because they're highlighting login, so they assume that you have a login and that you're already part of, within their system. So maybe that's why it feels a bit more like assumed access with it. But yeah, I find it quite dark. I find the text quite small to read. Some of these pictures that they've selected for us are a bit murky. So
maybe that's just the style of from the artist, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's just very dark. That's what I'm finding. And like you say, the sign up is quite discreet.
Now, what I was just thinking, actually, it could be because this is an app, really, rather than the website, that it could be more that people are being pushed to app stores. So when people are finding out about this through advertising, perhaps online or videos, they're going to be pushed to the app store. And so they sign up to the app there. So I don't know how many people are actually coming along to this homepage, but I would imagine it's not as many as are going to the app, which is probably where most of their marketing is headed. But or their sort of focused landing page is headed to sort of work people through the benefits of signing up. Yeah, I don't get it. It feels like it's leading me in too quickly without telling me enough about what it can do. Now, just quickly going back to Uber, you could just jump in with Uber to do that. I like that. But if you weren't sure, you can scroll and find out more. And we just don't have that here. It's just more stuff. Netflix, another big brand, and you were actually saying that their homepage has been pretty similar since the beginning, and I seem to remember that as well. It has been pretty much like this. You know, they've got a very simple statement up here, which holds true, and you pop your email in and get going. Great, just like Uber, you can get started from there. I love that. Or you can scroll and learn more if you're not really sure. You know, if you are quite new to Netflix, you've never used it before, you've just come across it. People have mentioned, oh, a show is on Netflix. Now it's starting to show you the actual benefits that you can use it. Although, to be honest, that is the biggest benefit. That's why most people subscribe to it, because you've got pretty much anything you want whenever you want.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show that they haven't really changed this landing page since they started, so that it must be really successful for them. Well, we know it's successful for them because of their subscribers numbers.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing all right. I thought I was just this little animation made me believe I was downloading. I was like, I don't want to download that now. I love it as well. It's like it's not a perfect landing page for me, but it's like big statement at the top saying what you do, and then you've got your benefit statements here with an image that goes along, or video that goes along with it. Plus, you've got FAQs, just like our sort of standard recommended page there. So I really like it. It keeps it simple, and then obviously everything else is off to the side. So that's a really good one. Calm. I don't know much about this. Do you want to lead?
So with this one, I think their landing page really sort of emulates their brand. So it's again quite simple messaging, very clear. They've got the video introducing, and it's a really nice sort of funnel down through the page to get you to sign up for their app. and I just think it's nicely laid out. There's a nice amount of space that you can kind of breathe, and it gives you that calm feel. So, but unlike the cruise holiday package, you sort of come to this site and you breathe and you relax, and you can slowly navigate your way through. So I think they've done a really good job with that.
Yeah, and FAQs as well. Perfect. Yeah, I quite like it. I think it's fairly strong here. This again, I find it quite difficult to read. Maybe it's the height of the text and the way it's laid out, but it basically does say what they do. I have used the Calm app. I think I got a free trial of it during COVID. I think they were giving a year trial. It was that one or someone else. So I did try it out. I don't think I stuck with it because I think we've got Audible or other stories and that I like to listen to. But it's a great idea. And I think this explains it reasonably well. And these little bedtime stories for grown-ups, that's certainly a good idea where you can learn a little something as you drift off. It's very good. In terms of landing page, I quite like this. I see Apple do this a lot, actually, where they've got almost a section of content which you can navigate through with tabs horizontally. I quite like that. Yeah, it's nice. It's calming, especially this view here. I was gazing at that for some time. It's very nice. Moving on to Basecamp. So we use Basecamp for a lot of our internal projects. I've been using it, I think since a couple of years after they started it originally. What's quite interesting about Basecamp, and it comes from their software as well. Their software is always different. It's always different. They always have something where they stick out. They do things differently because, they've got to. If you don't do it differently, then there's not much difference between you and another project management system. But with this landing page, they actually do a lot of things differently, don't they? I've always been interested. Maybe if we go back to, I haven't got it here. We did have Xbox as an example, and that's like a bad example of a menu at the top because they basically try to fill it with everything you could possibly get to. What I like about Basecamp is they've just got the key menu items here that you might like to. If you're returning, you've got the what's new, so you can always find what they're doing. Features, if you're new to it, sign in, and then obviously a big pricing and sign up button here. So I really like the simplicity of this. Now, if I scroll to the footer, they've got loads of content here. They've got tons of support. They've got loads of additional information, but it's linked within content. So it's all contextual. So if you need to learn something more, they've got that. Now, I know they do changing up their homepage quite a bit, but they usually do try and keep it quite simple. So obviously making a statement here about what they're going to give you, hoping that they're going to find people who are pissed off with project management tools and they're going to look for something different. And exactly like this, people say, oh, you should try Basecamp. That's usually me telling people, oh, you should try Basecamp. I quite like this as well. I remember they've got another bit of software called Hey, and they have had a great little video on the front page. I haven't watched this one, but I think it's probably very similar, where just basically it's their owner or one of the owners, Jason Fried, talking through the application, just literally doing a screen share with you. He's just talking you through it. It's really nicely done. It's not too polished, but it's not it's not bad. I really like it. So and then they go through all the different things that make it important, how you might be using it for a project.
Yeah, no, what I really like about it is that I think previously when we've spoken about them, they've really taken time about their font. So it's a really easy font to read, and they're really sort of clear and concise with their headings to sort of capture your attention. And that they're quite playful. They don't really meet the sort of the standard website layouts. So using the sort of cartoon graphics at the top, I just think that really shows the personality of the brand.
Oh, they got more in there. It's interesting. I've never seen that before. And that they Basecamp as a company are all about copywriting. Everything they do, even in their applications, is all about copywriting. And you'll find if you use their applications, it's not so iconic in terms of using icons. It is much more about having icons where necessary to go along with text. It's all about actually putting all of the text into the application you're using, so you don't have to think about what am I doing here. A bit like with Spotify, I'm looking at going, what can I do on this? They explain that. and that they do it on their homepage as well. Okay, moving on to sort of the final ones.
Yeah.
We've got HelloFresh, which is an example I use a lot. Let's just dismiss this little item here. And the reason I use it a lot is because they are a company who focus on, well, they're a new company that has, or newer, I'd say they're probably quite a couple of years old now, but they were new at the time, who have designed their company around challenges that their customers have. And you can see the challenges here. It says, we save you serious time, stress, and money. They're their key challenges. So they actually sort of put that up in the headline. And I like that. They also use them further down where they take those same ideas and write them into statements. So I like the way they do that. Actually, looking at this site now, I've seen this site stay like this for quite some time, actually, since I've been referring it. And it looks a little staid and old. Not old is the wrong word. It looks, looking at some of the sites like Calm, Uber, Airbnb, I think there's just a lot going on this page. You know, you've got this big timer. This is constantly moving. You've got this menu at the top. There's different text sizes here. Button, button, button. There's a lot going on. And I think they could probably take the same message and simplify it. What do you think, Claire?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I do like the color and the sort of vibrancy of it, but yeah, I think they can maybe sort of just reduce down. Some of the text is quite small. I'm not reading it. And this section should be a lot louder and prouder because
I think so. Rather than just a couple of bullet points, which is what it is, almost if you went back to something like Uber and you took a whole section and made each one of those a whole section, I think it'd be a lot easier. Because it's very easy for people just to flick up on the phones or just use the scroll wheel or on their mouse just to move. So it's really not a problem to scroll up and down. We're not worried about vertical space anymore. So, but it's much more important that people can sort of dwell on a message and really understand that. And it feels like they don't quite have that, even though I like the sort of general idea of what they've got here, they don't quite have it. Just looking at, I don't know if they're a competitor, but it's one of the ones, a link that you brought up. How do I get rid of this? There's a little X up there. I don't like it when they hide the X's. So this to me is a bit bigger and bolder. I think you didn't like the logo, which I agree with. It's like, can't quite read it.
I can't read it. I don't really like the font too much. I think it could be sort of cleaner.
Something about it that's a little, it's not flowing, but essentially there is less going on here. Like this grabs your attention and you know, we've got something quite clear. You're kind of healthy. I mean, as a statement, it's not really, it's a fun statement, but I don't think it's as clear as some of the others. But this is nice. This is, I think they should lead with this. Delicious meals made with clean ingredients and organic fresh produce delivered to your door and ready in minutes. I think that should be it. Get rid of this. It means nothing. This is the important bit. Maybe it should be that, and then you're kind of healthy underneath. So I like that, but yeah, there's quite a bit going on here. But it is simpler than the HelloFresh one.
It's laid out slightly better, isn't it? It's less messy. I think the images are less busy. I know they're sort of vibrant and full of food, but there was a lot of busier images on the others, and I think that just sort of cluttered the page a little bit more.
It did actually, yeah. I love the color here. This sort of marine teal color and the yellow are really good.
A real sort of Moroccan feel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Lovely. Yeah, I mean, essentially very similar things, but there's definitely yeah, this and also this food somehow it just doesn't look right real, whereas this looks fresh and real. It's like, oh, I could just reach out and eat it. So they're both pretty good, but I think this has the edge in terms of simplifying it. So that's good. Lovely. Thanks for bringing those up, Claire. As ever, it's really, really good to sort of look through these and see how different companies approach effectively a very similar problem. You know, you've got new people hitting a site. How can we make sure that they understand what we do and how that connects with the problems that they have? And then, of course, signing up, you know, getting them to move forward with that process. So it's always good to look at. Cool. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode of the Inventive Marketing Club. Thanks, Claire, for joining me. You can learn more and find great episodes, or you can join us at ratherinventive.com/club. That is ratherinventive.com/club. Bye for now.